Okay, good morning. Good morning again. My name is Joseph Richardson, Joseph Richardson. I am a partner and the head of the Racial and Economic Justice Department at McCune Wright Arevalo, LLP. I will start off by saying happy anniversary to my wife, because I don't want to be on the couch for any of you guys. I'm going to speak, and then I'm going to have Camellia Fowler speak, and then I'm going to have Joanna Matthews speak. They are both plaintiffs in two separate lawsuits that do have some common themes. Okay, so, and then after they make their statements, I'll make a further statement to wrap up and then take a couple questions. That's the way that we'll do that, okay? So we're here because of what is happening to people in protected categories in the California State University system, including women and people of color. Now, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I did another press conference for a client named Paige Griffin. At that time, we said we wanted to understand the extent to which there may be systematic issues that are part of the Cal State system. And here we are with two lawsuits, one of which, as a class action, deals with one of the key systematic issues that we believe and we allege exist there. Those issues include discrimination in treatment, including wage disparity. Treatment by Cal State of those that complain about those issues. Treatment that is unfair, that's retaliatory, and that we allege and believe is illegal. The issues are about both substance and procedure. Substance in regard to the discrimination as to wage disparity, retaliation, but procedure as it pertains to uneven Title IX and grievance processes that actually keep more people quiet than encouraging them to step forward. So there's both a class action and an individual complaint, both of which underscore systematic issues in the CSU system. So let me give you a little bit of back story on the class action. Since our previous press conference pertaining to Cal State, I have heard from many people in the Cal State space, including Camellia Fowler. We were made aware of a recent report entitled CSU Salary Structure, Gender and Racial-Based Pay Gaps, which was prepared by the California State University Employees Union for its represented membership. And it's actually an exhibit to the class action complaint in which Camellia Fowler is the class representative. The report stated that, among other things, the mean monthly pay, mean average, for all CSU workers in the survey was $4,753. Men having a monthly pay average of $5,013 and women having a average monthly pay of $4,577. White males had a mean monthly pay of $54.39. White females, $47.62. Black males, $44.46. Black females, $44.79. Hispanic males, $42.05. Hispanic females, a mean monthly pay of $41.08. Now, admittedly, there is a lot that goes into what someone gets paid: experience, years, etc. But what we believe is that there are people that are equally qualified and equally experienced that are nonetheless getting paid less money than other people in the same positions. Ms. Fowler is an example of that, we believe. She's a 10-year employee at Cal State, an alum of Cal State San Bernardino, who came to believe what we allege in the class action complaint, of which she is the class representative, that she's being paid less money for the same work as the two male predecessors that she received, without being worse off, less qualified in terms of years of service, in terms of relevant experience, etc. However, Now, admittedly, as we've said, wage disparities or similar ones exist on a larger scale society-wide. We understand that. However, the irony that this would occur in the largest public college system in the country and one that serves so many people of color should not be lost on any of us. As we allege in the class action complaint, we believe that this is a pervasive practice in the CSU system. We also believe that the metric laid out in the report will prove to be true across the CSU system, such that there will be a class of similarly situated persons, and therefore this class action will be able to get over the hurdles that class actions have to get over to be class actions. Ms. Fowler is our class representative. There could be more as we go along. She has an ongoing grievance actually related to this issue, and what we primarily seek in her case, in this case of which she is a class representative, is injunctive relief to stop the practice, as well as a system, whether it's using the one that exists better or creating another one, where we can be as assured as we possibly can that people in similar positions and that do similar work get similar pay. Let's talk a little bit about the individual claim involving Ms. Matthews. Joanna Matthews is a 3-year Cal State University San Bernardino police officer who is in several protected categories. She's a college basketball player. She was a college basketball player, which gave her a desire to serve colleges in her career. When she got to Cal State, she found out that the camaraderie she felt on the court in college and on the campus would be different in this working environment. There is a club in the campus police department. And remember, these are individual claims. And it would seem that African American, Latino, and LGBTQ plus women, all of which Ms. Matthews is, are not part of that club. She found herself isolated, being asked to do things that others were not, being followed and surveilled, and dare I even say, ironically, policed. And so unfairly. She only complained when she had no other alternative. And when she was put on a different schedule than the primary offender, who individually is not important today because this is really about San Bernardino's state and about the state system. When she was asked to put on a different schedule, and she decided not to do anything else about what she dealt with. She just wanted to go to work every day. And that was fine for a couple months. But as you may know from the news, this is not the Cal State system's finest hour, nor is it Cal State San Bernardino's finest hour. And therefore, a few months later, inexplicably, she was returned back to the schedule with the main offender, and she continued to be dealt many of the same things she was dealing with before, followed and surveilled most nights, while people were not backing her on calls when, for safety reasons, they should be followed. They should be with her on those calls as opposed to surveilling her on those calls. In private conversations, officers, including supervisors, attributing her complaints at her job to her marital problems. Ms. Matthews came to notice a constant acquiescence of inappropriate conduct by colleagues and supervisors in the police department. Furthermore, she noticed that officers of color seemed to be treated differently. While Matthews devoted herself to the mission of the department, she noticed that there was a bit of a club mentality, and as a last resort on October 7th, 2021, she complained. Specifically, she gave the information to the Human Relations Department, Human Resources Department, to file a Title IX complaint, and emailing them all of the notes, contemporaneous notes of things that she dealt with, when she dealt with them, etc., and the things that led her to making the complaint. 3 days later, she was placed on leave for an investigation, accused of, quote, allegations of dishonesty and filing false documentation, end quote, and she languishes in that investigation today, having been off work for 9 months. Days after she was placed on leave, meanwhile, she was told that her Title IX complaint would not be investigated. Meanwhile, apparently, she still would be. And to be honest with you, we're not sure what they're investigating after 9 months. And we believe that the major offender that is complained about in the complaint is still going to work every day, not placed on leave, with nothing different. Almost as if he's in the club, she's not. Her lawsuit alleges discrimination, retaliation, and public policy violations. There are two major issues that we're dealing with that provide a commonality for both of these cases: substance and process. Substantively, these individuals are suffering from discriminatory policies and or being retaliated against because they speak up for themselves. Procedurally, they find themselves subject to processes that promise fairness but are uneven at best, and at worst, they find investigations actually weaponized against them. They are both women of color, they're both very good at what they do, and they both want to continue to do it in an environment that's fair and that fixes what is wrong when there is something wrong. I'll talk more in a bit, but for now, let's hear from Ms. Fowler. Make sure you spell your name for me first as well. Just let me know if it's is this far enough over?
A little bit more.
A little bit more? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And also if you could just speak up.
Okay.
A little top heavy. Thank you, brother.
My name is Camelia Fowler, CAMELIA and I have worked for California State University, and particularly on the Cal State San Bernardino campus for over 10 years. I am a Community Partnerships Analyst in the Office of Community Engagement. In my current position, I am responsible for engagement programming, partnerships development, and program assessment. I am an alumna of CSUSB with a bachelor's degree in marketing and an MBA. I have represented CSU on the international stage, presenting with colleagues at an advising conference. Other roles I have held on campus are Community Engagement Specialist, Program Coordinator for the University Honors Program, University Testing Officer, Assistant to the Associate Provost, and First Year Seminar Instructor. I applied for my most recent position in April 2021. I applied for the position but did not get it. It was originally given to a male who was coming from outside of the CSU system. I think it's also important to note that initially I was told I would be on the hiring committee for the position and not given the option to apply, although I met the qualifications. I filed a grievance related to not receiving the position. That grievance settled after my predecessor left within 6 months. I started in this position on March 1st, 2022. The next day, I received my offer letter. I came to learn that my salary would be significantly lower than at least one and perhaps both of the individuals that held the position before me. I also was not given the opportunity to negotiate the salary when I was hired. When I responded to my offer letter, I informed the HR department about my concern about the wage disparity. They told me to file a Title IX complaint. Since that time, I have done a Title IX complaint based on, among other things, gender discrimination for the wage disparity. The report of the California State University Employees Union rings true with me. When the report states that Black females in the CSU system surveyed had a mean monthly pay of 10% less than males in general, and nearly 20% less than white males in particular, it speaks to me. Unfortunately, I am living the reality painted in the survey, and I am not alone. I believe the facts will show that there are many stories of women and people of color like myself in the CSU system who were forced to choose to go to work for less money. Things are not where they need to be, where they must be, and my personal situation proves it. What CSU needs to do is fix this problem, fix it right, and fix it permanently. This is the primary reason I agreed to be a class representative in this case. Both substantive and procedural issues need to be fixed in this system. Not only does there need to be equal pay for equal work, but we need to fix the crisis of confidence that exists as it pertains to the complaint and grievance processes in the CSU system. Many people with legitimate issues, including people with my issue, would be less inclined to do a grievance or Title IX procedure because of the uneven nature of the process. CSU must ensure balance in administering the grievance and Title IX processes and zero tolerance for retaliation after filing a complaint or a grievance. Everyone wants to be valued for the work that they do, and they want to be able to know that fair processes are in place to deal with problems equitably as they arise. I am no exception. We cannot have a stated mission to educate students at Cal State and fail to recognize that failure to enforce equal pay threatens that mission. Taking this stand is work, but this work is just as important as the work that I have done for Cal State for over 10 years, and work I want to continue to do in the future. So the time to speak is here and now. Thank you.
And next we'll have Ms. Matthews, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go.
And also when you speak up, just speak up as loud as you can. And if you can read that paper, but holding it down. Perfect. Thank you.
Just like this microphone? Like one?
This way? Okay, gotcha.
My name is Joanna Barber Matthews, JoannaBarberMatthews,
Sorry.
and I have worked at Cal. I have worked.
Have you stop for a second?
Okay.
You need to readjust this real quick.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you can. That's fine.
Okay, sorry. You may.
My name is Joanna Barber Matthews, JoannaBarberMatthews, and I have worked as a police officer at Cal State San Bernardino for 3 years. I am a married African American, Latina, and LGBTQ+ community member. I played basketball in college. While there, I came to know I wanted to stay involved with college campuses. That led me to seek to be a campus police officer. I became a law enforcement officer nearly 3 years ago and took a job at Cal State San Bernardino Police Department 3 years ago. When I was hired by CSUSB, I believed my dream was coming true, serving my community, which largely included students of color, in a job that could be fulfilling, satisfying on a vibrant college campus. Since I started my job as CSUSB PD, I have been a target by other officers in ways that have me singled out and isolated. I believe I have been denied career advancements and suffered harassment, including random equipment checks and unannounced drive-bys while I worked calls. This went on for several months, starting in 2020 and went into 2021. Many of these issues were at the hand of a particular officer of higher rank, a white male. Having going as long as I could, hoping the harassment and other issues would abate, I made a complaint to the department chief of February 2021. In response to those complaints, I was put on a different schedule than that other officer. I did not desire to pursue the issues further at that time, despite what happened. I hope that I can go forward and be fine at work with the schedule change. All I wanted to do was be able to do my job. However, in July of 2021, I was put back on a similar shift with that officer, and the problems returned and continued. While working, I have been subjected to, and among other things, being singled out and watched on surveillance by officers that are supposed to actually accompany me on my calls for my safety, conduct random flashlight checks on me and no one else, having others in the department, including supervisors, speculate about my personal life as an LGBTQ+ woman to deflect away from my legitimate complaints, saying I had marital problems, being forced to work around someone with COVID exposure, despite my vaccination status and my wife being pregnant, providing extra reason for my caution, While I devoted myself to the mission of the department, what became clear is the CSUSBPD was a club, and I, as a woman, as an African American and Latina woman, LGBTQ+ community member, was not invited. I believe that this has all been a retaliation for complaining about my treatment within the department. After not having anything done, in early October of 2021, I filled out and submitted a 1096 Title IX complaint. I reported all of my issues to the HR department. Then, 3 days later, I was placed on administrative leave for allegations of dishonesty and submitting false documentation. Less than 2 weeks after submitting the Title IX complaint, I was informed it would not be accepted for investigation. I had been off of work for 9 months on administrative leave with no end in sight. I believe CSUSB sees issues that need to be dealt with going on, but has chosen to focus its punishment on me by not allowing me to come to work. Perhaps I should appreciate being on administrative leave, but I did not come to CSUSBPD to be put on administrative leave in retaliation for my complaints. I came to CSUSBPD to serve the campus community through my work. This has been taken from me. This last 9 months has been incredibly difficult, in a way of lost wages, missing overtime, and missing a monthly stipend that I received every month. But by far, the worst damage is beyond money. Having my future up in the air has caused anxiety, stress, and fear. Every day I feel my dream of working as a campus police officer is slipping away from me. It has me questioning my career path and wondering what may be next. Cal State has to ensure that its investigation processes are fair and even-handed. There is no good reason that my Title IX claim would be dismissed in weeks, but an investigation to open days after my complaint takes months and leaves me in limbo. Investigations cannot be used as weapons to retaliate for legitimate complaints, as I believe to be the case here. A recent statement by Cal State's interim chancellor acknowledges that the California State University has fallen short in its effort to ensure that their campuses are safe and welcoming environments where students, faculty, and staff can thrive personally, professionally, and intellectually, free of discrimination, harassment, and sexual misconduct. Based on my experience, this has been lip service. If Cal State is serious, then people with legitimate complaints should not be dismissed out of hand. And people that make legitimate complaints should not be put off work as superiors use investigations as retaliatory weapons. Cal State should not just talk about it, they should be about it. For every person like me, I am certain there are others that won't complain because they see what happens when they do complain. The irony here is that so many people we serve look like me. We help people, including people of color, in a time of life where opportunities are opening up and horizons expanded. If this case helps the opportunities and horizons of workers at Cal State to be treated fairly and to work and advance their careers in peace, then all of my struggle and fight will be worth it. Thank you.
Hopefully this is good. So there are some ironies here. I want to thank them both, both of you, Ms. Fowler and Ms. Matthews, for being courageous in this way. We think that people that come to work every day and don't say anything are courageous in their ways as well. But being courageous in this way is laudable, and I thank you both. There's some ironies here. At our firm, McCune Wright, we just celebrated the official end of the shameful history of slavery in our country on Juneteenth. Also, as you know, we just came across, as you may know, the 50-year anniversary of Title IX. Title IX prohibits sex-based discrimination in any school or any other education program that receives funding from the federal government. So, said another way, Juneteenth is about a confirmation of freedom, and Title IX guarantees a process. But the situations in which Ms. Fowler and Ms. Matthews find themselves let us know that there's much work to be done, and as was said, they acknowledge it. They sent an email that says that they recognize that they have some problems, even though not everyone in system-wide has received the email that's come from the chancellor related to this. There is a pay disparity for women, we believe, and for people of color, we believe, as evidenced by Ms. Fowler's situation. The Title IX process is not what it needs to be at CSU, as evidenced by Ms. Matthews' situation. There's clearly so much work to be done. Ms. Matthews has been taken away from her job for 9 months. And today, CSU's process looks more like a weapon to punish her than a process to seek truth. If she had not complained, she would be on her job. Consider this irony, that a system that educates so many women and people of color, more women than men, actually discriminates against women and women of color. Think of that. And retaliates against them if they say anything about it. And so we're here because they don't pay you right. They don't treat you right. And if you complain, often they won't do you right. Cal State University is wrong on substance, and Cal State University is wrong on process. So what we seek, as to the class action, we're seeking an injunction to stop the illegal practice of paying comparatively qualified and experienced women and people of color less money for substantially the same work. We also want defendant Cal State University to make a complete review of all salaries on its campuses and cites that, among other things, ensures uniformity for those that are in substantially similar positions doing substantially similar work, and improves the current mechanisms for doing so or sets up new ones for the future. That's on the class action for which Ms. Fowler is our class representative, and there could be other class representatives. So, as to Ms. Matthews' case, she seeks a return back to her job without retaliation. She seeks lost wages, including her monthly stipend. She seeks redress for the damages she has incurred being off her job, many of which are related to the stress and the anxiety of being off her job. Here's our message to Cal State. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim to honor Title IX like you do in your emails and then have uneven processes that make good people scared to invoke Title IX. You can't have a grievance process and proclaim to ensure fairness, but commence investigations days after a complaint and freeze good people out of their careers. They can talk about having issues all they want in a moment of candor, but it's truly time to do something about those issues. Don't just recognize the existence of the issue, make the change. Don't just make it right on an individual because your hand was caught in the cookie jar, but not deal with the problems in the kitchen. We can promise you this, unless and until systematic issues that make these cases necessary are resolved, we will continue to hold Cal State's feet to the fire. That is our responsibility, and we are only here to help. With that, we'll take a couple questions. Anyone?
How important is this step in order to get it resolved, not just for the two people sitting here next to you, but just the overall for the campus and for the people that work?
We think it's incredibly important. I think that for as much as I believe Cal State has done wrong, I think that there are good-intentioned, well-intentioned people in the educational system who have the mission and the desire to educate. But we have to use this moment to take advantage of the opportunity. They're admitting there's a problem. They know that there's a problem. They can't act like there's not a problem. Now, they might, when you're defending a lawsuit, you allege technicalities and you go along the road, as it were. But this is really about fixing a problem so that what Cal State promises and what it claims is actually true. So it's incredibly important, but I do think that the candor that we have seen from them at moments and the fact that there is a state narrative of everything from sexual harassment to retaliation and everything else that is absolutely undeniable creates a moment for an opportunity as well. And so now it's time to take advantage. There's no denying that there aren't serious problems at Cal State. The key is whether or not they will be earnest enough to get those things resolved.
As far as the pay you were talking about, all genders, all races, if they were all perfectly the same, qualified, does that recent pay still apply based on those?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes, and the short answer is yes, absolutely. What we believe we will find out here is that, of course, there are certain elements. If an African American person has worked in a particular field for 2 years and there's a white person that's worked in it for 8 years, we would expect there to be a difference in how much they're paid.
We all understand that.
Right.
The question is it really there when they are totally equal? Every single one
Right.
of them that you just mentioned are
Right.
equal.
We believe that there is, and
How is that believed?
and that's what the discovery process is about to confirm. Admittedly, the report by the union is a sampling of several thousand people. It's not the entire system, but we do think that there's a disparity that can be proven and that can be shown when those comparative elements are there. We do think that, we do believe that, and that's what we allege in the complaint, and that's why we're going down the road.
So you talked about an injunctive relief to require this pay across the entire city, which is a very large system. Has an injunctive of that kind, that size, happened before, or would this be kind of a first situation?
I don't know that it would be a first situation. I think that it's not unusual at all when you are trying to make a practice, either get rid of a negative practice or adjust mechanisms to ensure fairness as much as you can, that there is discussion about actually how to do that, and then that can show up in your potential resolution. We understand, we bring cases because we're willing to try them, we know how to try them, et cetera, but we also know that most cases resolve on some level, and perhaps this may be a time where a case could potentially resolve when there's acknowledgement that there's a problem. They could actually acknowledge the problem and have it be a separate thing for them as to whether or not they believe they can successfully defend it in court. There's still, despite their belief that they would win and our belief that we would win, there's still plenty of reason to actually put mechanisms in place that really help us to be better about this. And I think that another element, frankly, would be encouragement of people that are in a certain category that believe that this may be a potential problem. Could it be that part of this is that certain people are less likely to come forward and say, I think this is this way, or I think this is that way, because they fear retribution? That's possible as well. And so, interestingly, most cases, I believe, have a legal component and a moral component as well. There's this legal component in terms of here's where you are on the law, this is what ought to happen, this is nuts and bolts, the data shows this and that, we've proven this to be more likely than not, et cetera. But there's also the moral component of Cal State being a leader in education, not only countrywide, nationwide, but worldwide, wanting to be seen as, in both actuality and perception, dealing with the problems that it acknowledges that it has. And if that is the case, then that gives us the best opportunity to do what needs to be done, not only actually from a substantive standpoint, but also procedurally and structurally, so that people really feel like they can do what they need to do if they need to make a complaint, if there's a mechanism that exists. They have to get to a place, maybe it's a resource issue, where Title IXs aren't taking, or grievances aren't taking 1 year to 2 years, and those types of things. Not a lot of people have that kind of patience. A lot of folks would rather just go to work, deal with it, and not be retaliated against because they didn't say anything. So we have to do that as well. That component has to exist as well.
And then, Ms. Fowler, what are the names of your predecessors so that I can compare the salary if that's not already in the complaint?
I don't think that that's in the complaint, but we might be able to get that information to you to confirm that. Okay.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Matthews, was there a difference in pay, and is that also detailed in the complaint?
I'm glad you asked that. We do believe there is a potential difference in pay as well, such that Ms. Matthews could be a class member in this complaint, even though she has an individual complaint. We know that she's paid less. That was not the premise under which we took her case. It was because of the individual actions, but we do believe that everyone in the department is paid more than she is.
I actually meant since he was put on administrative leave, have that affected their salary?
Yes, that is a difference in pay. The base salary is the same. As you may know, a lot of people that are in police work, law enforcement, really count a great deal on overtime. We also know, and in another irony, they are severely understaffed. And they need her and people like her that want to go to work back like yesterday, okay? And we understand that. And as part of what she'd done, her salary was probably, with overtime, maybe 20 to 30% more than what she's getting sitting at home. There's also a stipend that she got. It's a modest stipend, but there are overtime opportunities and other related opportunities that she's losing not being at work. And so that's made a difference. It's made her and her family make economic decisions related to their future that they wouldn't have because they just didn't know how this was going to come out. But yeah, that's been a significant component. Yes, I'm glad you asked that.
Is your position union? Are you union?
Are you union? You're union. Yes, they're actually both union.
Okay, so then there's a base pay set on the union because she's a union member. So do they get the raises based on the number of years that they've been employed? Is there a difference there?
I will tell you that apparently that seems to be the case. And the reason why her primary complaints are the individual claims is that even though we know that she's paid less, we don't necessarily have the certainty that she's an appropriate class member based on what we're alleging. Okay, we don't know that yet. So what I mean is she's getting paid less. We don't know if she's getting paid less. We haven't proven that she's paid. Well, you haven't proven because you're at the beginning of the case. But we did not have enough information to comfortably allege that she is an appropriate class member at this time related to the amount of money that she gets paid and why.
Trying to translate class member, you mean union status or level in the union?
Well, this is a class, not even that. This is a class action with Ms. Fowler.
Okay,
Okay? This is an individual case
okay.
with Ms. Matthews. We believe that she's getting paid less. We did not know enough about the circumstances surrounding everyone else's payment and everyone else's salary, predecessor salaries and things like that.
Did the union supply that information to you?
You know, I haven't pursued that as it pertains to her union representative.
This is
That's a
all
possibility.
This is all brand new. This is
Right.
all just starting.
Sure.
Okay, just want to make that clear.
Sure, yeah. And
Kind of lost and confused them.
okay, yeah, certainly didn't mean to confuse you, but her primary claims are the individual claims.
right.
We have talked about her getting paid less money, but at the same time, we didn't know enough about her situation vis-a-vis the others, and including her predecessors, to have her be an appropriate class representative for the wage disparity matter. Okay? Hopefully that helps. I'm sorry.
Yes, I apologize if my question is going to sound kindergarten to your ears.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But, you know, I think we understand the concept that accountability leads from the top down. And, you know, in both of your clients' cases, there's similarities, but there's also differences. But the one thing that I'm recognizing is that there are also different layers of leadership within their, you know, respective jobs. And more specifically with Ms. Matthews and the police department. My question is this: let's say you get the decision that you are seeking. How confident are you that that decision that's coming from the top down is going to trickle down to their levels of leadership? Like within the department, it's, you know, the chief going down to the captain, lieutenants, and so on and so forth down the line as far as leadership. How confident are you that if you get the decision you're looking for, that that decision is going to have this significant ripple effect to the layers of leadership that they are exposed to on a regular basis?
That's an excellent question, and I think that exposure gives us the best opportunity for us to have that. I also think that in this case, in Cal State, what's going on there is serious enough where there actually needs to be monitoring, and there actually needs to be a metric by which we can compare and understand the extent to which we need to deal with culture and that we are dealing with it. It is a huge system. It's a behemoth, mammoth system. We understand that. But if there's a recognition and that at the top that there needs to be changes, and then perhaps that discussion can start. Because the fact of the matter is, dare I say this as an attorney, but most of the time, the most important work, the most arduous work, and the most difficult work takes place outside of the four walls of the lawsuit. And so what gives us an opportunity to do that is the recognition that there's a problem. Hopefully, we are at that point based on the things that they've already said. So my confidence is helped by a willingness and an acknowledgement that hopefully leads to monitoring, systems, and the ability to see where we are on those things going into the future and going well into the future. Because, you know, the rudder is small on a ship, but a big ship is a big ship, you know, when it has to turn. And we understand that's an issue.
Thank you, sir.
Did either plaintiff come to sue as a result of hearing about your current ongoing case against CSUSB?
Actually, Miss Matthews' case was the first San Bernardino case I'd signed up. Actually, so she's actually in the front of the line, as it were. Miss Fowler was in touch with me following seeing the previous press about the other issue. And in fact, as you might imagine, after doing that press conference and that and talking about Ms. Griffin's case, I heard from a lot of people at Cal State with a myriad of different issues. And if you'll remember, I believe, Aiden, you were at that press conference, and maybe a couple of you were as well. I think you were. We talked about looking for systemic issues. And we think that wage disparity is one of those systemic issues. And to be honest with you, I appreciate people like Ms. Fowler that are conscientious enough to say, hey, this came down today. Have you seen this type of thing? I've continued a conversation with several people at Cal State based on their observations of our previous case and those types of things. A big part of it is dialogue, understanding what's going on and that type of thing.
So are you comfortable saying anything more about that? Is that your conversations with them? Is that where you want to end it? Or do you want to...
You mean with Cal State?
With the other people that you said came forward.
As of now, none of those other people are clients. I have 3 or 4 individual clients that are connected to Cal State. Of course, the class action means that there could be, many more, but that's where we are as of now. We don't take taking on cases lightly. We believe that you take on cases and you bring them as a last resort and not as a first resort, not because it's fun, not because it's sexy, and not because the result is guaranteed, but because something actually needs to happen. And I think that even Cal State would recognize that something needs to happen. And that's why we're here. And not that we have to get into my background, but I come from being a defense attorney for 12 years. And so I am very conservative, for lack of a better term, about the cases that I actually take. And so when I'm taking on a case, I'm fine with difficulty. There's no problem having a mountain, but the goal needs to be clear and what we're dealing with needs to be egregious, and I think we have that. Anyone else? Okay, thank you everyone, appreciate it.